Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to my video blog for polyphonic.org. This week I have a special guest. I will be interviewing Joe Madden, who is the Executive Director of the Champaign-Urbana Symphony. Thanks for joining me here today, Joe.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Joe, can you tell me a bit about yourself, such as your background, and how you got to be in the position that you are today?
Well, I got started studying music when I came to the University of Illinois in 2002, where I studied violin performance, and I went on to get a master's degree in that field. And that was followed up by some work administrating the teaching studio of one of the professors around while I played. Continued to freelance actively in violin. Shortly after beginning to work more actively as a freelancer, I saw the opportunity for the operations manager position at the Champaign-Urbana Symphony. After working there for 3 years and change, I believe, my predecessor at the executive director position stepped down, and the board appointed me to fill that role.
So, what do you do as executive director of the CU Symphony?
Pretty much something different every day, which is one of the high points of the job. My main responsibilities are marketing and development. So on any given day, I might do anything from designing a concert program to writing the script for a TV commercial to working on a grant, contacting donors, fine-tuning a budget for next year. It could really be just about anything.
What do you think is one of the most valuable things you have learned so far as an executive director?
I'm going to zero in on the so far part of that question. Being a new executive director and being an executive director promoted from within my organization puts me in a little bit of a different position than some folks. I was at a conference sometime last year, and in a informal conversation with one of the speakers, he asked how the board was responding to me in my new role, since I had a previous role in the organization. And after thinking about it for only a second, the answer was very clear. I was receiving the appropriate status in my new role insofar as I embraced the new authority that I've been given by our board and the new responsibility. As a new executive director in general, I think that can be a really important thing, because if you're a new executive director, you still have that trust placed in you by the board, and you still have that authority within your organization. And the more that you embrace those facts, I think the more effective you can be, especially as a newer or younger executive director. Which doesn't mean setting aside the opinions of other people or brushing them off. It just means really taking to heart the amount of trust that a board places in you when they make you their executive director.
What is one of your favorite things about this position?
Really, my favorite things about working here are what I talked about with you a little bit before. Getting to do something different every day. The week just really and truly flies by when you have a cocktail of different tasks that could be in front of you every day. And when you throw that in with the fact that most of them actually have a bit of a social or people skills component, it makes for a really exciting and fast-paced work environment.
What is one of your least favorite things about this position?
Well, it's kind of the dark side of my favorite thing. When there's so many exciting and interesting things to do, sometimes they stand in the way of that one big task you'd just like to sit down and work on uninterrupted.
What advice do you have for anyone that is thinking executive directorship of an ensemble might be for them or in their future?
I think my strongest piece of advice for anyone thinking about executive directorship, particularly in the music field, is not to delay in becoming the kind of person that other people will trust. If you are active in music right now, be that one musician who doesn't let emails sit unanswered. If you're asked to play a gig, accept or decline, but decide which it is, decide quickly, and stick to your word. If you become known as somebody who responds quickly, keeps his or her word, and shows up prepared, you will be set apart from your peers perhaps more than you might think. Some orchestra musicians, you see the attitude that I'm a good musician, I play in an orchestra, I'd make a good candidate for management work in an orchestra. Doesn't quite get it done. And if you are interested in administrative work or interested in being a successful musician, quite honestly, you should waste no time in cultivating the kind of reputation that suggests that you're a reliable person. Waiting until you're actively looking for administrative work is too late.
What advice do you have for anyone that might not think executive directorship is in their future, but maybe the person is actually quite suited for it?
My advice is just to think carefully about what makes you tick professionally, in my case, I realized that while I enjoyed playing music a lot, being an organized people person and an administrator was something that was kind of too important for my ability to feel fulfilled to neglect it. And a life that I was undertaking of just playing and just teaching was kind of leaving me feeling unfulfilled. So if that describes you at all, administrative work might be really great. You can also, there will be, I'm sure, many orchestra employees and executive directors and the like who are happy to be shadowed for a day, and there's also a lot of really great blogs on the subject that you can check out and see if the subject matter interests you.
Great, thank you, Joe.
You're most welcome.
Hi. It's an outtake.